Welcome, my goons and gremlins. Last night was Halloween, and you know what that means? Spooktober, baby! That's right, we've been spending October watching movies, playing games, reading books, all to get us in that spooky mood. Before I get into my 10 movie recommendations, per usual, I want to talk about a couple other forms of media of note that helped me get into the mood for the spooky season. First off, I've been playing the Dead Space remaster. It's pretty unparalleled. I played the first game when it came out, played 2, got through most of 3, but I didn't finish it. But the original Dead Space, even in the remastered form, which I think makes the graphics look and feel as I remembered them when I played it originally. Now, it's best played in pitch black. Just you and the TV fighting off those necromorphs. But it's okay if you turn the light on. I won't tell anybody. Also, I've been watching Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities, each episode being a different short horror film and sort of anthology format from a different creative team. I'm not going to talk about them too much, but definitely give them a watch. If I were to rank them in terms of enjoyment, I'd probably do something like this. And we can't leave out print media. Oh no. I got this Lovecraft compendium a while back. I've been slowly making my way through it. Not super far. They are kind of a heavy read. But I've got a few favorites so far. You know, we've all heard of Call of Cthulhu, At the Mountains of Madness, The Dunwich Horror, Color Out of Space. But there's some really great early stuff that I think goes unappreciated. Here's a list of some of my favorites. Here, without further ado, here's 10 films that I watched this October that scared the pants off of me. First up, we've got Tremors, an excellent creature feature that's deep down a buddy comedy. You've got these 2 leads that are played masterfully by Bacon and Ward. They really play off of each other and elevate the whole film. Definitely see it if you're a fan of creature features, monster movies, like a little bit of comedy in your horror. Next up, we've got one I had already seen, but I don't think I've talked about before. It's Lake Mungo. Now, if you've frequented any kind of YouTube horror channels, you've definitely heard about this one. I'm not going to say a lot about it because the less you know, the better. But basically, it's a mockumentary about this girl who went missing and sort of how the family deals with the trauma. And that's really all you gotta know. It's really spooky. Watch this one with all the lights off. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised if you go in pretty blind. We got another classic next, The Fog by John Carpenter. Not to be confused with the remake, which I haven't even seen. Don't think I need to. I've always been a huge fan of Carpenter. Love his horror movies like Halloween and The Thing, but also his action films like They Live and Escape from New York. While definitely not one of his best, at least in my opinion, it's a solid horror film. The characters are serviceable, the story's pretty good, it's got this warm, cozy campfire vibe. Just can't be beat. Next up, we've got Sinister. I don't know why it took so long for me to watch this one. I've always heard great things about it. Scott Derrickson, the director of The Black Phone, which I really enjoyed, went back and watched Sinister. It's kind of equal parts funny and terrifying. If you can get past the jump scares, really glad we got past that with horror movies in general. It's got a few tricks up its sleeves, some I haven't really seen in other films. Then we've got Phantom of the Opera. Now, not really a traditional horror movie. It's got gothic horror elements. Of course, we're talking about the Joel Schumacher, Gerard Butler vehicle look. His singing's been criticized nonstop. I think he fits the character perfectly. His raspy, sort of aggressive vocals really highlight his grief and his pain from just being this outcast running amok in this opera house. The character is great. Love Patrick Wilson. You know, he's a great singer. I love the artistic flair. Not the best movie by any means, but you can really tell that everybody that worked on it loved the story, loved the craft. Definitely worth a watch if you're into musicals or gothic horror in general. Next up, we have Circle, one that's been on my list for quite some time. It's a really simple kind of bottle movie where a group of about 100 people is put into this circle and they have to make some terrible decisions about who should live and who should die. These are my favorite kind of, like, love these little horror movies where they seem more like an episode of Twilight Zone or Star Trek. They got to figure out their way out of a problem. You know, they're really awful inner human negatives come out, and it's just fun to see it play out. And kind of has some surprises I wasn't expecting either. It's kind of on the shorter side. I think it's about 80 minutes. Give it a watch. It's on Netflix. Now here's another classic, kind of, not that old, but I've seen this one several times. 28 Days Later. It's a zombie movie. Kind of the first modern, infected runner zombie movie, not to be confused with like the George Romero, Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead type stuff. New era of zombies started the early 2000s. This is pretty much first. Cillian Murphy's great, Brendan Gleeson, Christopher Eccleston. It's got some great characters in it, great cast. It's a very frantic, fast-paced sort of movie. You feel like you're always on edge, even when the characters relax a little bit. And you probably guessed that I rewatched it in anticipation of 28 Years Later, and you would be correct. This one was a wild ride, to say the least. Not quite what I expected. I don't think anybody was expecting this, and I think you can kind of tell that from the reviews. There's people that wanted more of a traditional, straight-up survival horror film, and then there's people that really didn't know what to expect, what they could have expanded on in the first one, like myself, that were really surprised by what they were able to accomplish. And everything just feels real, everything feels very visceral. It's a coming-of-age story, believe it or not. If you liked the first one, if you loved the second one, 28 Weeks Later, if you were kind of wishy-washy on that one, either way, I think you would love 28 Years Later. Give it a shot. I Saw the TV Glow is the second film by the person who did We're All Going to the World's Fair. Now, I wasn't really a fan of that one. I thought it had a lot going for it, but kind of floundered at the third act. This one, however, I was pretty intrigued. It had some really cool ideas about nostalgia and sense of self. Of course, there's several different interpretations you can get this one. The director has basically come out and said, this is what this thing is about. But you can come to your own conclusions. You can form your own opinions, relate to it in different ways, even if you don't relate to it in the way the director intended. And that's, I think, one of the beautiful things about film is that you can take away your own interpretations. This one has a billion. This one has so many things you can take away from it. If you grew up in the 90s, even if you didn't, you grew up in the 80s, there really is a takeaway for everybody. And I really enjoyed it. So definitely worth a watch. Last but not least, we have Primer. Now, again, this one isn't really a traditional horror movie. I just wanted to talk about it because it has been on my list for a while, kind of like Circle, a very low budget film. I believe it was just one guy who pretty much did everything. He's a cinematographer, director. He's in the movie as one of the characters. Very low budget, tiny release. Gets talked about on YouTube a lot, but I, to this point, hadn't actually seen it. So I was just dying to see it. And I finally just found it and I watched it. It was great. At the risk of sounding like a Rick and Morty fan, you do kind of have to have a background knowledge of, engineering, mathematics to really get the most out of this. If you hated math growing up, you weren't really into science or anything like that, a lot of this is just going to go straight over your head. Still an enjoyable movie, but it gets convoluted and it kind of compounds. The story is cumulative. If you get lost somewhere along the line, it's gonna get worse and worse, and you're not gonna be able to understand the story. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was amazing what this one guy was able to do with a group of friends and family. You can find it online somewhere. I couldn't find a physical release, but you can find it if you look for it. Anyway, that's all we got this month. Thanks for tuning in. I think this is going to be the last Spooktober, unfortunately, unless this one just pops off or I get a bunch of comments saying, no, keep doing them, because they really don't do very well, and as much as I like making them, I'd rather just enjoy my October and kind of celebrate Halloween and watch horror films and read books and whatnot just on my own time. If I don't have to make it into work, then I don't really want to. But let me know if you want more of these. I'm really up for anything. Like I said, I enjoy doing them. I probably won't do another Japanuary either. They just don't do well at all. I don't think anybody's really interested in them, and I don't want to waste my time if it's just me who wants to watch it. So again, comment if you want to see more. If you want to see Japanuary next year, if you want to see another Spooktober, if you want to see more film discussion, I'm up for it. I know that's not really where this channel's rooted. I know a lot of people just like the gear reviews. There's a very niche crowd that likes the food stuff. But if you want to see more of this, please let me know, because otherwise I'm probably not going to bother. Probably going to close up shop on this concept entirely, unfortunately. But regardless, thank you all for watching. Hope you watched some great horror films of your own. Hope you read some horror novels or short stories. There's so much out there to enjoy and appreciate about Halloween. Love this time of year. Like to keep the spirit alive and get spooked and creeped out and cozy up with a great horror story. That's all the time we have for tonight. But again, thanks for watching, and until next time, I'm Bruiser Brad.